So this was one of the other moves that also was omitted from the movement practice newsletter, one of the YouTube links. This is by far one of my go-to correctives for anybody that's been to me with a really pinchy, achy lower back. This, you probably know, you've done this before. It's called a Birddog, or I call it a Superman, just so that people can get a sense of putting a picture to what the movement represents, so that they can remember it. But it is actually called the Birddog. It was developed by Professor Stuart McGill. He uses this as part of his big three exercises to desensitize people who are battling with lower back pain. It's also just a great way to mobilize your body. Again, it connects opposite shoulder to opposite hip. It gets full hip extension. It gets your arm extending. It brings length into your spine, and it kind of creates a dynamic stiffness in the lower back. It's one of my favorites. It works really, really well. And yeah, let me show you how to do it. So again, from the side, you want to adopt a quadrupedal and all fours position, and you can either tuck your toes under, or you can go flat. You want your hands under your shoulders, knees under your hips. Again, head in a neutral position. So essentially you want to look like a tabletop. You want your back to be as flat as possible. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go opposite arm again to opposite leg. So you extend the right arm and kick the left leg back. Hold for 1, 2, and then come back. And then again, left arm extending, right leg extending, hold for 1, 2, and then bring it back. Some important things to note when you're doing this: you don't want your pelvis collapsing in there, or collapsing in there, or trying to open your hip to get the leg to extend. You almost want to kick it straight back. Your body must look like one long straight pole when both leg and arm are extended. So my recommendation in terms of how many to do as a movement practice, again, anything from 7 to 10 on each side. They work really, really well. They get a lot of circulation into the glutes, especially if you've been sitting for a whole day. And if you've got a very sensitive back, it's a nice way to introduce load into your spine, while being able to maintain a very flat, neutral spine. And I don't know if you noticed, but from the first exercise that I demoed, which was the dead bug, this is basically an inverted dead bug. So the dead bug is the one we traditionally start with because it's gravity independent. So your body is not supporting the weight of gravity when you're lying flat on your back. So this is basically a progression of the dead bug. But I really, really like this exercise. There's a lot of good benefit to it, and it's great to incorporate into a movement practice.